My father left a letter that could only be opened if my mother died first. My father died when I was 14 years old. A sudden heart attack in the kitchen on a Sunday morning. He was making scrambled eggs and he simply collapsed. My mother screamed so loudly that the neighbors called the ambulance before she did. I ran down the stairs and found him on the floor with the spatula still in his hand and the eggs burning in the pan. The smell of burnt eggs, to this day I cannot smell that without my throat closing up. In his will, he left everything normal. The house for my mother, his savings divided between her and me, his watch for me when I turned 18. But at the end of the document there was a clause that the lawyer read with an uncomfortable expression. For my son Caleb, enclosed is a sealed letter that must be delivered only in the event of my wife Margaret's death. Under no circumstances is it to be opened while she is alive. If Caleb dies before Margaret, the letter must be destroyed unread. My mother went pale when she heard that. The lawyer asked if she knew anything about it and she shook her head too quickly. I was 14 years old and did not understand any of it, but I stored that information in a corner of my brain where it stayed, pulsing like a second heartbeat. For the next 17 years, my mother and I never spoke about the letter, not once. I tried to ask her when I turned 18, but she cut me off. Your father was a complicated man, Caleb. There are things that are better left unburied. Her tone was so final that I never brought it up again, but the letter existed, kept in my father's lawyer's office, and every year that passed it grew heavier in my mind. What could be so important that it could only be known once my mother was dead? What secret was so large that it required her not to be alive to face the consequences? For years I built theories. My father had an affair and I had a brother somewhere. Maybe there were hidden debts. Maybe he had committed a crime. Every theory was worse than the last and none of them let me sleep. At 25, I met Diana. I fell in love. We got married. We had a son we named Mateo. Life went on and the letter became background noise, something that was there but no longer dominated my thoughts. My mother was 62 and in perfect health. She walked 5 kilometers every day and ate better than I did. That letter could wait another 30 years. 3 months ago, I received a call at 4 in the morning. Caleb, this is Dr. Vans from Central Hospital. Your mother was admitted through the emergency room. We need you to come in immediately. When I arrived at the hospital, my mother was connected to machines. She had a brain tumor. The doctors said it was aggressive and had probably been growing for months without symptoms. They gave her between 3 and 6 months. I sat in the chair beside her bed and watched her sleep. This woman who raised me alone after my father died, who worked double shifts to pay for my university, who never remarried because she said your father's love was enough for an entire life. She was dying, and somewhere in a lawyer's office there was a letter waiting for exactly that to happen. I hated myself for thinking about the letter in that moment, but I could not help it. 17 years of unanswered questions were about to be resolved, and the key was my mother's death. What kind of son feels relief mixed with grief? The following weeks were hell. My mother deteriorated quickly. The tumor stole pieces of her memory. One day she recognized me and the next she called me by my father's name. Andrew, come sit with me, she would say, patting the bed. I sat down and played along. Andrew, darling, I was thinking we should tell Caleb the truth. He is old enough now. He deserves to know. My blood ran cold. She thought she was talking to my father. The truth about what? I asked in the closest voice to my father's I could manufacture. About what happened that night. Margaret, please don't start, I said, improvising, hoping she would keep talking. She looked at me with confused eyes, but continued. Andrew, he asks about her every time he sees a red-headed girl on the street. He stops and stares. He is 11 years old and he still asks why his little sister doesn't live with us. We can't keep lying. The room began to spin. Little sister. I never had a sister, or so I believed. Who is she? I asked, barely able to keep my voice steady. My mother blinked, confused. Margaret, is that you? How long have you been here? You need to eat something. You look pale. Just like that, the moment was gone. Her mind returned to the present. She recognized me as Caleb and the window closed. I sat there for an hour without moving. A sister. My father had left a letter about a sister I did not know existed, a red-headed girl who at some point had lived with us, and then disappeared. I was 11 years old when I asked about her. According to my mother, that means she would have been around 3 or 4 years old when she left. I started searching through my mother's house while she was in the hospital. Every drawer, every photo album. The albums were meticulous. My mother had documented every year of my life with near-obsessive dedication. But I noticed something strange between my photos from ages 2 to 5. There were pages torn out. Not individual missing photos, but entire pages cut out with scissors. Simone had systematically removed something from our family's visual history. In the attic, I found a box I had never seen before. It was behind 3 boxes of Christmas decorations, sealed with tape and with a single word written on it in my mother's handwriting. Number. I opened the box. Inside there was a girl's dress, size 4, pink with white flowers, a pair of small shoes, a hairbrush with red hairs still tangled in the bristles, and a photograph. The photo showed my father sitting on the porch of our house, holding 2 children. One was me, clearly me, with my dark eyes and brown hair, around 3 years old. And in his other arm, there was a red-headed girl of approximately 1 year, with the most intense green eyes I have ever seen. Eyes that did not resemble my father's or my mother's. I turned the photo over on the back. In my father's handwriting, Caleb and Lily, my 2 reasons to live. Lily, I had a sister named Lily. My hands were trembling as I held that photo. This was the secret. This was what the letter contained. Why did no one tell me? Where was Lily? What happened to her? Why did they tear the pages out of the album? My mother kept her clothes in a box marked with the word number that night I went to the hospital. My mother was awake and lucid. It was one of her good days. She looked at me with a tired smile. Caleb, did you bring the lemon gelatin? I always forget to ask the nurses for it. I watched her eat the gelatin while I decided whether to do it or not. The photo of Lily was in my pocket. Finally, I spoke. Mom, who is Lily? The gelatin spoon stopped halfway to her mouth. I watched her hand begin to tremble. The green gelatin shook on the spoon as if there were a tiny earthquake. She set the spoon down on the dish with a click that sounded too loud in the silent room. Where did you hear that name? I found a photo, Dad and me, and a red-headed girl. On the back it says Caleb and Lily. My mother's face transformed. It was not gradual, the way it was when she remembered something painful. It was instant, as if a mask had been ripped off her. What I saw underneath was pure terror, the same terror I had seen on her face the day my father collapsed in the kitchen. Caleb, her voice was a thread. I need you to listen to me very carefully right now. Whatever you find in that letter, whatever your father wrote, you need to know that everything I did was to protect you. Protect me from what? From the truth. What truth, Mom? She looked me directly in the eyes, and what I saw there was not the loving mother I knew. It was a woman who had been running from something for 17 years. The truth about how your sister disappeared. The truth about what your father did. And the truth about why. If you open that letter, Caleb, you are going to wish you had not. Her cardiac monitor started accelerating. The nurses came running in. They asked me to step outside. From the hallway, I heard her screaming, "Don't open the letter, Caleb. Promise me. Don't open it." I already had my phone in my hand, dialing my father's lawyer.
To continue, tap the arrow in the bottom right corner and copy the link, then tap the CapCut icon in the bottom left.